Since my director will not motivate me to do this fun, I'll motivate myself. Let's do this. Welcome to another exciting episode on Elorm Echoes. And it's a girl, Nanama Elorm. Say what? Clack it, clack it, clack it. In fact, today's story is actually inspired by what is happening in South Africa today. The xenophobic attacks.
The warm welcome I have received from the government and the people of Nigeria by thousands of cheering Nigerians, which convinced me that I was not only among friends, but I had come home.
Is a new African in the world.
You have entrusted me with the presidency of the ANC.
And so, let's get right into it. And please, if you know you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so, and also click the notification button so that anytime we post these wonderful stories, you'll be the first person. You'll be one of the first persons to get it and come and watch. And so, let's get right into today's story.
Elorm echoes. Every story has a voice.
The untold debt. When South Africa needed Africa versus what's happening now. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that the color of your skin is a crime, that your own country has declared you an alien. For decades, South Africa was exactly that, a land of shadows, choked by the iron grip of apartheid, a place where a man could be jailed for loving the wrong person and executed for demanding to vote. The world looked away. The great powers, America, Britain, France, called for dialogue while feeding the apartheid regime trade, weapons, and political cover. But Africa did not look away. While the giants of the West hesitated, the sons and daughters of this continent rose, and they did not just offer prayers from a distance, they offered their blood, their soil, their empty treasuries. They offered the only thing poorer nations have to give: everything. Take a look at Ghana in 1957, when Kwame Nkrumah stood before a cheering crowd and declared Ghana independent. He said something that shocked the world. He said Ghana's freedom was meaningless until it was linked to the total liberation of the African continent. And he meant every single word of it. At the time, the African National Congress, the ANC, was broke, scattered, hunted. Their leaders were in prison or in exile. They couldn't even open bank accounts. They couldn't board planes. They couldn't even cross borders without being handed back to the apartheid police. So what did Ghana do? They gave South Africa freedom fighters something more precious than gold. They gave them Ghanaian passports, real ones, with real names, sometimes fake names, but real protection. With those passports, ANC operatives flew to London, to New York, to Moscow. They told the world the truth about apartheid, and the world began to listen. But there is the moment history almost forgot. In the darkest hour of the struggle, when the ANC was running on fumes and fame and faith, Ghana quietly handed over $1 million in cold, hard cash to Nelson Mandela and his comrades. $1 million from a nation that had just built its own capital from swampland, a nation whose own teachers and nurses were going unpaid. They didn't see foreigners. They saw brothers with their back against the same walls. And then there was the giant of Africa, Nigeria, Omo Naija. Now, look at a map. Nigeria is thousands of miles away from the borders of South Africa. It shares no direct border. It had no refugee camps spilling over, and yet the United Nations, the UN, officially named Nigeria a frontline state in the fight against apartheid. Why? Because Nigeria turned its oil wealth into a weapon against racism. Listen to this carefully. Every single month, ordinary Nigerian civil servants. When we talk about the civil servants, we are looking at the teachers, nurses, postal clerks, custom officers. And these people had a Mandela tax deducted directly from their salaries. Not a donation, a tax mandated by law, taken from the people who themselves were living under military dictatorships, struggling to feed their own children. That money went to buy arms for UNTOLD, the armed wing of the African National Congress. It went to legal fees for political prisoners. It went to food, shelter, and education for South African exiles scattered across the continent. By the time official estimates were done, Nigeria had spent an estimated $61 billion in today's money to see South Africa free. 61 billion. Let that number sit. When Nelson Mandela finally walked out of Victor Verster prison in 1990, blind with light and freedom, he did not go to London first. He did not go to Washington. One of his very first stops was Nigeria. He went to thank the people whose salaries bled for him while he sat in a 6-by-6-foot cell on Robben Island. But the debt is not only Ghana and Nigeria. That would be too easy. For 30 years, 3 decades, Zambia hosted the African National Congress headquarters in Lusaka. Every single day, Zambian police looked the other way when ANC operatives moved through their capital. Every single night, Zambian families shared their maize meals with strangers who spoke a different language but dreamed the same dream. Tanzania gave the ANC land to train fighters. Villages in the bush where young men and women, some barely teenagers, learned to shoot, to march, to organize, to survive. Julius Nyerere, Tanzania's president, told the world, "We will not be free until South Africa is free." Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, faced direct bombings from the apartheid regime. Bombs fell on Zimbabwean soil. Families died. Homes burned, all because Zimbabwe had the audacity to care about its neighbor. Let me say it plainly. The liberation of South Africa was not a South African victory. It was an African victory, bought with African treasure, paid for with African blood. So tell me, fast forward today, how did we get here? The same streets that once echoed with songs of continental unity. Chocholonza, 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 Inkosi Sikele. In Africa, now echo with ugly broken cries. Makwerekwere. Go home, you are stealing our jobs. How did the children of the people who funded Nelson Mandela's freedom become the targets of fire and fury in the very streets their fathers helped liberate? Today, Nigerians are told are all drug dealers. Ghanaians are told they are scammers. Zimbabweans, Malawians, Somalis hunted down in the same township that once offered refuge to African National Congress fighters. On the run, shops looted, families burned alive in their own homes, men forced to prove their citizenship while bleeding on the pavement. You don't know whose passports paid the ANC, whose taxes bought the guns, whose soil buried the fallen. South Africa, we ask you today, gently, but we ask you, is this the rainbow nation that Mandela dreamed of? He dreamed of a country where tribe did not matter, but he also dreamed of a country where the continent was family. He did not spend 27 years in prison so that his grandchildren could burn a Ghanaian's shop. History is not a story. History is a debt. When you were thirsty, Nigerians gave you water. When you were homeless, Ghana gave you a key. When you were silenced, Africa gave you a voice. When you were alone, Africa gave you an army. How can you burn the bridge that carried you across the river? The untold debt is not a secret. It is a wound. And wounds that are ignored do not heal. They infect. South Africa, remember, before you say foreigner, remember who held the light when your world went dark. Thank you. This xenophobia attacks in South Africa must stop, must end. Thank you for watching another exciting episode on Elorm Echoes. I'm kind of emotional about this story because your brother, my brother, happened to find themselves in this unfair hands of our South African brothers and sisters. Share this story. Let it reach a lot of people worldwide. Let it go viral and share with your family and friends. Like and comment for more exciting stories like this. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.